Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey there, guys. Steve Roy here, host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Appreciate you listening in. If you are a dad, you're listening to the show right now, I would highly encourage you to seek out some help if you are struggling in some way with your health and fitness. One of the ways we are helping dads, we have a couple of private Facebook groups. And I found, just in my experience over the years working with dads, that men really do thrive in tribes, being part of a group of like-minded guys that actually give a shit about your success and failure. So, a couple groups. We've got a free private Facebook group called the Fit Dad Base Camp. You can join that, fitdadnation.com/community. We also have our paid private community where we do a whole lot more in there. A lot of accountability-based challenges, programs, monthly fitness challenges, all kinds of stuff happening in there. And we're in the middle of a challenge right now, and some guys are absolutely crushing it. So if you're serious about making some changes and you really want some coaching and some help, take a look at what we're doing at Fit Dad Nation Inner Circle. And you can find more info about that at fdnic.com or fitdadnation.com/inner circle. I put this out there the other day in one of the groups, and I was asking for some suggestions on topics that guys wanted to hear about in the podcast. And so, I've been doing this for a very, very long time, and sometimes I forget that I don't know it all, and I think, well, I probably know what these guys need, and it's really not always the case at all. And so I like to ask these questions once in a while just to see what guys are truly interested in hearing about. And someone mentioned something about wanting to learn more about some things that people think are healthy, but in reality are actually hurting their progress, their results. So that's what I want to talk about today. So, I'll get this out of the way right away. This is not for people that are just, using excuses. This isn't about, doing the obvious shit that is hurting your results, eating fast food, overeating, drinking a lot, not exercising, being lazy, like all those things, that's, if you're there, that's okay, but this is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about guys that are seemingly doing the right things for their body, but inadvertently sabotaging their progress because either they're not informed or whatever it is. And these are some things, and I was thinking about this for a while, and I made a list of things that I've seen that have actually stopped progress, prevented progress, and it's extremely frustrating. And for me as a fitness professional, I hate seeing this shit because a lot of this stuff is based in marketing. A lot of these things are sold as cures and aids for weight loss and muscle gain and all these things. And for the most part, a lot of it is just absolute garbage. And so I want to go over some things that I'm sure you've heard of, and I'm sure some things you maybe haven't even thought of that you're like, oh shit, I've been doing that, and I've been wondering why I'm not really seeing much progress. Maybe that's it. And so that's my goal for today, is maybe to open your eyes to some things. First thing I'm going to say is we all know that your diet is largely responsible for your body composition, your ability to lose weight, lose fat, right? Exercise, of course, is important, but at the end of the day, on a kind of a very grand view of all of this, it's how many calories you're taking in versus how many calories you're expending, and you have to be in that deficit. You have to be in a deficit consistently to lose weight/fat. And one mistake that I see a lot is people decide to change their diet. They start to eat healthy, which is great, but they have no idea actually how much they're eating. So despite what you may believe or what you've heard, you can't just eat indiscriminately whatever you want as long as it's quote unquote healthy, because a lot of healthy foods have a lot of calories, like especially foods like avocados, oils, things that are heavy in fat that have a lot more calories than protein-rich or carbohydrate-rich foods. And so they end up eating too many calories. And so you can't just, if you're really looking to lose fat, right? And let's be honest, virtually everybody that's listening to this show is trying to lose body fat. At the same time, they would like to have more muscle, right? I think that's kind of a given for 99% of the guys that are listening to this show, including myself. But you can't just start eating healthier with no idea of how many calories you need to lose weight, right? There are calculators for this. I help my guys, my clients, my guys in my groups with this stuff to help them decide and determine how many calories they should be eating, or approximately. It's not an exact science, but that's a big thing, is you can't just, like, I'm eating healthy, but I don't know why I'm not losing weight. I've been eating healthy for like 2 months, but I'm not losing weight, right? And that's great from a biomarker standpoint, where your numbers might be good, your blood work is great, your heart health is up, right? All that stuff is awesome, but you're not losing weight because you're just eating too many healthy foods. So be very, very careful about that, right? And on that same line, I'll say that some people rely too much in the opposite direction, where they rely on a MyFitnessPal or another calorie tracker, and they're still not losing weight, even though they say that they're tracking everything and they know they're in a deficit, but they're not losing weight. And more often than not, it's a couple things. One is you're not tracking everything, right? You're leaving out a few things here and there, a bite of chips, a handful of pretzels, whatever, and that stuff does add up. And second of all, calorie counts on the labels themselves have been shown to be off as much as 30% in either direction. If you're putting in information that's not even accurate into a system that's probably not that accurate, and you're either underestimating or overestimating the calories that you're eating of those foods that are mismarked, there's a very good chance that your numbers are going to be off quite a bit. And so a lot of people tend to underreport how many calories they're eating, and at the same time, they overreport how many calories they're burning. So it ends up being a big old clusterfuck, and then you're eating just too many calories. You don't believe it. You honestly believe that you're burning this many and you're only eating this many, but in fact, that's not the case. It could be. I've seen people off 600, 700, 800 calories or more per day, thinking that they're really, really, really closely watching these things, and they're not. It's just a flawed system. So be very careful of that. Okay, so just understand that. I am a believer in counting calories. I think it's a great place to start, right? Tracking them, especially when you're really struggling and you can kind of get a handle on things, but just understand there's some serious flaws with that. My personal preference is to start reducing portions. That's how I do it. For me, I drop my carbohydrate intake quite a bit down because I eat a lot of starch. So I cut that way down and I bring my protein way up, and then I end up eating fewer calories because of it. And I really focus on smaller portions, and I end up in that deficit, and you can kind of use that as a gauge. Another thing that people follow, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, is the IIFYM approach, which is the if it fits your macros, meaning if your macros are set up 35, 35, 30, right? Proponents of this will say, well, as long as you're hitting those macros, the rest isn't as important, which I think is just fucking stupid, because at the end of the day, you could be eating 30% chocolate, 30%, just junk foods. And that obviously that's not the idea, but just because you hit a macro goal doesn't mean anything as far as your calories. You could be blowing your calories way out, but you're still in that range. You're never going to lose weight because of it. There are some applications for really focusing on macros, but for the vast majority of men, regular guys, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're competing, you have some very specific event or thing that you're trying to train for, you're trying to get down to an extremely low percentage of body fat or whatever it is, then it makes more sense to start really looking into macros. But for the most part, it doesn't really matter a whole lot, and you rely on that. You forget about the underlying principle that calories matter the most. How many calories, not necessarily what they are, right? You do need enough protein to maintain or build lean muscle, but it doesn't really matter what the macros look like. Mine are often 40% protein, 35% fat, and then the rest is carbohydrates. So I keep mine pretty low, and I do fine. My energy is good, my muscle's good. So it's a very personal thing. I'm going to keep talking about diet a little bit longer here. Adding shit to your drinks, to your coffee, specifically butter, MCT oil, coconut oil, right? That's just dumb, right? It became a huge fad. This guy, I forgot his name, he wrote this bulletproof coffee, but whatever it was, something to do with that. He wrote a book. He had this huge, it was a great branding thing. But at the end of the day, it's stupid because all you're doing is adding unnecessary calories to your diet. Think about taking a cup of coffee, which has no calories in it, and then dropping half a stick of butter in there or a quarter of a stick of butter in there, and all of a sudden you have hundreds of calories that, there's no really beneficial nutritional value to that, except just now you're eating a bunch more calories. It doesn't help your heart. It doesn't help your energy, your libido, nothing. It just adds a bunch of calories to your diet. And if you're trying to lose fat, you want to restrict calories, right? You want to save calories where you can, not just throwing a bunch of extra random junky calories through oils or butters, because it's just that much harder to be in that deficit. So it just doesn't make sense. And then there's the protein bar. I know a lot of guys that they're busy, bouncing around with schedules, and they rely on protein bars, which by and large, I would say, a lot of them, not, they're getting better for sure, are glorified candy bars. They have a bunch of sugar, a bunch of calories. Some have, most have 200 to 300 calories. And again, relying on that as a quick snack, it's not the worst idea, but when you start relying on those, you're having a couple a day, it does add up. That could be 400 calories, 500 calories extra just from that little protein bar, and chances are it's not going to fill you up at all anyway. And then some of those bigger bars, like the Metrics bars and those big giant ones, sometimes have 400 calories plus, right? It's like a whole meal. But anyway, relying on those, thinking that you're doing the right thing because you're getting that extra protein, I'd much rather see you just eat some lean meat, even a protein shake, a high quality protein shake. And just keep in mind, too, that most, if not all, of these protein bars, especially the ones you find in the grocery stores, they use a very low-quality protein. Obviously, protein gets expensive as you start to process it differently. And, I pay like $60 for a tub of protein powder because it's high-end stuff like First Form. It's high-end product. But you go to Costco, you go to CVS, you go to Target, you can buy a tub of it for $20, right? And it's processed poorly, it's a low grade, and that's what you get in these protein bars too. So I wouldn't rely on that at all. Let's see here. I'm gonna keep talking about food here a little bit before I get into the workout piece of it. But one thing that I remind my guys frequently of is that in order to lose fat, you have to be in that deficit, but it has to be consistent. It can't be day to day or even week to week. You have to look at it in larger blocks. And I see a lot of guys, they'll just sacrifice and be miserable all week. And then come the weekends, they're like, man, I've been eating salads and chicken and broccoli all week, and my weekends are for me, right? I'm going to go have some barbecue. I'm going to have some beers, right? And what happens is you end up overdoing it, eating way too many calories than your body needs. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. People deserve to relax on weekends and have fun and whatever. But if you really are serious about losing fat, it's actually pretty easy to wipe out your deficit for the week. So you look at it from like not day to day. Well, yesterday I ate really only a little bit, so today I can just blow it up, right? You look at it and you can eat in moderation, of course, on the weekends and splurge a little bit, but too many guys just overdo it and they go all out. And then, 3 weeks into it, they're like, well, I don't understand because my weeks are amazing. I'm eating so clean. I'm tracking everything. It's just, I'm killing it in the gym and I'm not losing it. I haven't lost any weight. I've seen this hundreds of times. And then we talk about the more details. All right, tell me about your weekends. Oh, well, we go out and, we go on a fishing trip. We went camping or whatever it is. And it turns out they've eaten, a massive amount of just hot dogs, hamburgers, potato salad, a bunch of beers, and whatever comes their way. And this is the problem, right? This is exactly why you think, well, I'm doing the right thing because I'm rewarding myself, right? I'm doing really well, and I deserve a little bit of splurging. Okay, and again, I'm not saying this is wrong, but I'm saying this absolutely can be sabotaging, and it does sabotage a lot of guys' gains. Okay, and along those same lines, I've seen this quite a bit too, is men start to see progress and they start to reward themselves too quickly. You know, you lose 5 pounds and you're like, fuck it, I want to go to Cheesecake Factory and reward myself because I've lost 5 pounds, right? And they do that over and over. And it, again, nothing wrong with rewarding yourself. I do believe in rewarding yourself, but you know, I prefer it not be with a whole bunch of junk food. You know, maybe look at it from a different point of rewarding yourself with something else, something that you really want, whatever it is. But yeah, you think that it's helping you, and it may be helping you from the mental standpoint of, okay, I've been sacrificing and this has been really tough, so I'm just going to let it go, and I deserve this, right? And again, you get into that mind frame, and you think that's healthy, right? And I think, in a sense, you do need that break, right? And I honestly do believe that is helpful when you do it the right way. But most guys and most people, in my experience, don't. They overdo it, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot, and they continue to struggle to lose weight. And again, that's what we're talking about here. We're trying to lose weight, okay? And it's so confusing because there's so much fucking garbage out on the internet and so many coaches, so many people preaching different things, and it's really hard to know, unless you really know what you're doing and looking for, it's very hard to know who to follow, who to listen to. And so you end up doing a bunch of different stuff thinking that it might work, and when it doesn't, you get frustrated and you want to quit again. Right? Another big one. Thinking that all organic foods are healthy, right? And there's nothing wrong with eating organic foods. You know, from what I've learned, you know, there are a handful of foods that you really should be eating organically. A lot of like soft fruits, things that absorb a lot of chemicals, pesticides, harder fruits that have, you know, like a pineapple or a melon where you have to peel it off. Not as important, but people go crazy and they want to buy everything organic thinking, well, it doesn't really matter how much I'm eating this organic granola and this organic chocolate. You know, it's got to be healthy. So I'm just going to eat it, right? And again, nothing wrong with that. Oftentimes it's not healthy at all. Like Justin's organic peanut butter cups, people think, oh man, well, you know, this has got to be healthy because it says organic, and it's not the case. It still has a ton of sugar. It's just processed in a way that's organic. It doesn't mean that it has any fewer calories or it's any better for you. Maybe there are fewer chemicals involved in the processing. Probably not a whole lot. So don't get caught up thinking that organic equates to healthy. It does not at all. I'm not going to beat you up for eating organic, but I think 80% of the organic food is just a waste of money, and you could just eat regular food. I would focus on some of the soft fruits if you really have to eat organic, you know, strawberries, blueberries, that kind of stuff. All right, let's talk about exercise a little bit. Number one thing here when it comes to exercise, the guys think that they're doing really well. They think they're hitting out of the park with their workouts, but they're not losing weight is because you're doing too much cardio. You're relying too much on cardio, thinking that is the solution to your weight loss, right? I can't tell you how many guys, even guys that are, you know, really overweight, should never be running, think that they have to go running to lose weight. Like that's their default, their go-to. You know, I mean, I don't even bring it up. And they're like, yeah, I know, I got to start running. And I said, why? Well, I need to lose weight, right? But why do you feel like you have to run? Well, I mean, that's my cardio. That's, you know, so I'm going to burn fat. I said, no. It's a terrible idea. And this is why. First of all, it's a very poor use of your time. Bang for your buck. Spend an hour running or jogging for most guys, right? You know, if you're jogging at 4.5, 5 miles an hour, that's probably a decent pace for a lot of you guys. You're not burning that many calories. Is it bad for you? Not necessarily. I don't think it's great for your joints, your ligaments, your tendons, all those things on your knees, your hips, your ankles, all that stuff over time. Don't love it. I'd rather see you do a 20-minute workout that gets your heart rate up real high, brings it down, bring it up, kind of, you know, some kind of interval training. Much prefer to see that. Get your muscles involved instead of just doing regular boring cardio. But we're just so attached to the thought of cardio is the answer to fat loss. And we've been taught this for many, many years. And that's why we still think about it. Just like people think, well, I can't eat fat because it makes me fat. Right? Or there's some certain stigmas that are in our culture that we just can't break free from. And this is a huge one, is got to do cardio to lose fat. I would rather see you do no cardio other than walking. I really do believe that walking is an amazing exercise for many reasons. But I'd rather see you do some full body strength training 3-4 times a week. That's it. 40 minutes, 45 minutes. That's just a much better use of your time. You're going to start building lean muscle, which is in turn going to burn more calories at rest. Absolutely critical for this. So please think about that. Like, stop worrying about cardio. That is absolutely not the solution. Is it going to hurt you? Like if you go to the gym and do the stepper for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or the rower? Of course not. The bike. Those are all fine things. Those are great things for heart health. Absolutely. I bike. I do all those things myself, but I don't rely on it for fat loss. I do a lot of strength training. I train heavy and hard, and I really control my diet, right? If you're wondering, a lot of guys will be like, I've been working out every day. I'm watching what I eat. But I'm not really losing weight, and I don't really see any muscles. I'm kind of soft and flabby. And then you look at the program, and it's right at the forefront. It's cardio. I'm running 4 days a week, doing a little stretching, getting to the gym once in a while. It's just, in my opinion, my experience, just the wrong way to go about it if you're really trying to lose fat. Next up is following a program, whatever program it is, whether you wrote it, you got it on the internet, you have a coach, whatever. Following it for too long because it quote unquote works, right? And any program will work, especially for new people. If you're just getting back into it after a while, any decent program is going to give you results as long as you're pushing yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone, you're challenging your muscles. Okay, it doesn't have to be anything super, super fancy. Actually, simple is probably better. But you're sticking with programs, and I've seen this so many times, especially when I used to go to the gyms. I used to go to like Gold's for years, and I'd honestly see the same guys year after year doing like the exact same stuff. Same weights, same exercises, and they looked exactly the same, right? And that's the problem, is you get into this rut, and you think that it's really working because you love the exercises and you're comfortable and you know how to do them and you're strong, and you stay with it for way too long, and I don't really think you need to change up your workouts or your exercises as often as social media tells us we need to. But a decent program can last 8-10 weeks. Okay, I think after that, it's time to start taking a look at some variations, mixing it up a little bit. But it's not necessary to go crazy and mix your workouts up daily or even weekly. I think that's actually counterproductive. But just don't get caught up in the fact that this program has been awesome, because it's only awesome for as long as it takes your body to adjust, which our bodies are extremely intelligent, and it will take not that long, right? 6, 8, 10 weeks, somewhere in there. I switch mine up probably every 6 weeks because I get bored, and I know my body extremely well, but any more than that is just unnecessary. And then on the flip side, I'll say that there are certain guys that think that, well, I'm reading my body, which I absolutely believe in. Read your body. If you feel something isn't right, something hurts, absolutely go with that. But I've seen where guys worry too much about the little things, and they're reading into every little thing, and therefore they don't do a whole lot because of that. And they use it as a crutch, as an excuse, thinking, well, I'm doing the right thing for my body because I'm reading it, right? I got this crick in my neck, and it's my lower back's tight, so I think that might be ready to go. And then it just becomes just this whole excuse thing, and then nothing gets done. Okay, so just understand the difference. You are going to have to get uncomfortable. When you start training, you start changing your body, it's going to be uncomfortable. For most of us, it's not necessarily a fun thing, right? Because your body wants to be comfortable. If it's used to sitting for 8 hours a day, it wants to sit for 8 hours a day. It doesn't want to stand, walk, move, stretch, bend, hinge, squat, lunge, press. It doesn't want to do those things. It wants to go back to sitting because that's where it's comfortable. That's what it knows. So don't start using tightness and weakness and soreness and all these things as excuses. It does happen as an excuse not to be active. Okay, there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some tightness. You're going to be sore a little bit, but you have to just understand your body too. Yeah, you have to obviously read it, and you'll know the difference between soreness and pain. Where like, oh fuck, this is not good, right? And that happens to me once in a while, and I'm like, I just stop, and I don't do that. So anyway, I could probably talk about this stuff for another hour, but I think I've given you enough ideas here today that should be helpful. Hopefully that 1, 2, 3, or 4 of these have resonated with you. They've helped you out in some way, and maybe it's the thing that you needed to hear so you can start making progress again. As always, hit me up on social media at the Fit Dad Nation. Reach out to me anytime via private message. I respond to them all, and we'll catch up with you guys real soon.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.